What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin here to talk some Packers. Tonight, guys, we're going to talk 53-man roster. We're going to break it down position by position. It's going to be a blast. I believe it was it Chuck Jaggers last night that recommended that? Jacob, do you remember? I'm trying to think of who it was. Someone had super chatted.
I thought it was Chuck super chatted it. Yeah,
I think so. Whoever it was, shout out to them. Thanks for the recommendation. So we'll dive into it. And listen, we're going to do this again throughout training camp as other things start to unfold. But in the meantime, we're going to do that here on the 53-man roster. If you're new here at PTA, welcome in. Feel free to subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button on your way in. We're not experts here. We're not insiders. We're just fans like you guys here to talk Packers. And we go live pretty much every day. We do post-game shows. We do pre-game shows. We do film breakdown. We got all the bases covered here from a Green Bay Packers standpoint. So if that sounds like the type of content you would like to join in on, just go ahead and sub to the channel. What's up, Crazy Work? Good to see you in the house there over on X. We got Hardy the Prophet. It was Chuck, he said. There you go. Hardy the Prophet. See, Hardy, you should have just took credit for that. I mean, you should have said that was me. That's how I would have rolled with that. But anyway, I see Mac in the house. Miss Mary, good to see you. And she sent the gang over at My Autism Connection, sent me the Pimpus t-shirt. I'm going to have to sport it on the show here one night.
Nice.
A card signed by everybody. Mary, thank you so much for that. It was absolutely awesome. And I know you guys sent a video as well. We're going to try to show that before we do the giveaway. So we're going to be doing that giveaway here really, really soon, probably Saturday or Sunday, depending on when we can go live. For those of you who didn't know, we are doing a giveaway here, an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey, raising money for a good cause with My Autism Connection, building hope, community, and independence for autistic adults. For every $5 you donate, you're entered into the contest one time. She may have already started compiling the names. I was going to wait a little later in the week to do it, but we're going to put everybody's name on a wheel, spin it, and give away that awesome Dorsey Levens jersey. So, again, that's My Autism Connection. Make sure you go check them out. They're doing great things over there. We got Emilio joining us, man. Look at this stranger right here. You married yet, Emilio?
Not yet. Present, though. Present. Sorry, I feel like Jacob missing all these shows, but I'm back.
Shots fired. Wow.
Unbelievable.
all I gotta say is alligator Alcatraz for you.
Hey,
all right.
Oh, gosh. Here we go.
I don't know.
Get ready to go.
Right there. That's what you need to keep it positive tonight. All right. So for the new people that joined us tonight, they're already gone. So let's get down to talking 53-man roster. All right. As we dive into the Patreon article we put up, the best way to support us here at PTA is just join the Patreon group. $3 get you access to everything. Patreon.com/PackerFan Total Access. I'll also get you entered into the giveaways. Now, if you don't have Patreon, you're like, hey, man, I want to support the show and also be entered in the giveaways. Just hit that join tab right below the video here on YouTube and become a member of the PTA posse here. Let's jump into it, boys. It's going to be a lot of fun. Packers, OTAs, and mini camps are done, and the 2025 roster is stacked and ultra competitive. I think this is one of the most competitive rosters we've seen in a long time, and there's several different camp battles going on, especially on the bottom half of the roster. That's great for the season, but means tough cuts for talented players, even fan favorites. Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur face brutal decisions, and training camp battles will be intense. We're projecting the 53-man roster position by position with a few bold predictions. Big questions loom at wide receiver, where a veteran could get squeezed out, in the secondary with a shakeup, and on offensive line, where the final spots hinge on the last preseason snap. This is about who makes the green and gold for week one. Let's dive in. Let's start with the quarterback position. This is pretty straightforward, gang. I've got them keeping 2. Notice the number that's in parentheses here as well. That's how many they kept at that position last year, breaking camp with the initial 53. All right. So we got Jordan Love, obviously, franchise leader, the face of the franchise, I should say. And then Malik Willis being one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. No third quarterback on the roster last year. We're not carrying one this year. We're going to set it up. At least I did, and you guys can disagree if you'd like. I'm setting it up to completely mimic what they did last year. That's not to say they're going to break camp with the same amount of players at each position, but that's how we set up this exercise. Sean Clifford and rookie Taylor Elgersma will vie for the practice squad. Does anybody disagree there? Do you think there's a chance Malik Willis gets traded? Do you want him to get traded? How do y'all feel about the quarterback room here?
I would like to handcuff Malik Willis to the railing at 12:65 and make sure that he
Easy,
doesn't-
Jacob. He didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, come on now.
But,
No,
I don't think
like
that's gonna
Daryl's
happen.
mom does, right?
Unbelievable. Go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I agree with this. I don't think they're gonna, break camp with 3. I will say this: I'm very excited about Taylor Elgersma.
Yeah.
What we've seen so far from the kid, man, looks really good. But yeah, I would fully anticipate him and Clifford on the practice squad to start the year. But you never know. We'll see once camp gets going.
Yep. Emilio, what do you think, man? Any shocker here? Is that how you see it as well?
Keep Malik. He won us the game in Tennessee. I mean, that's all that matters to me, right? Get the ball. He got a running game going. I think he's a competent quarterback that Matt LaFleur is getting the most out of right now. And I say we get the rest out of him and then go ahead and go make your money because, he had already slid down before. So now's his time to shine and come back.
Yeah, Jacob, I wouldn't be surprised if Taylor Elgersma kind of takes Sean Clifford's spot on the practice squad, to be honest with you, man. They're really excited about him. They say he had a big arm. I don't know if you've done any research on him out of Canada, but, man, that dude did some amazing things with the football he's played.
Yeah. He did, and he also is. He's not like Mike Vick or nothing, but he's more nimble on his feet than people give him credit for. He's good at moving around in the pocket. He slings the ball, very beautifully. And like we always, he's younger. I believe he's younger than Sean Clifford. I could be wrong there, but I remember Clifford being a little bit older coming out. And the Packers it's a not for long business, and the Packers are very, very adamant about making sure that they've got young and upcomers biting at the heels of the guys that are starting. But just no, dead fish. No, I don't want to trade Willis. If we could get a number 1 pick, I'd do it. But I don't see that as a realistic option unless what's the scenario where that would have to happen? Like Aaron Rodgers goes down and Pittsburgh's like, we got no chance. We got to have a quarterback. And then Tomlin makes the trade. I don't know.
You just sound like
honestly,
Morgan Freeman, man. What was that Morgan Freeman was there?
I don't know.
Like the Steelers front office is running the organization from Shawshank Redemption or something.
No, I don't want to see a scenario where Malik Willis goes. I think he is honestly one of the best, if not the best backup quarterback. Like Emilio said, he won us games and he came in and secured games, and he was not a liability. If anything, some of the stuff he did, you're like, wow, I kind of want to see that in some certain packages if we could even pull that off in a way. But,
Yeah. Deadfish says, I would trade Willis for a number 1 pick. I don't think he would get, but I don't think we'll get that offer. For me, I think the number is – I don't know if I would give Willis up for a 3rd rounder. I think that's kind of the cutoff for me. Just knowing you got a backup that can come in and win you a game or two, I think that's so valuable, man. I think we would all agree that Sean Clifford and Taylor Elgersma is not going to come in and play the way Willis did. So. I'm definitely in the camp of keeping him. Drew D says it makes most sense to let Willis play out his contract and get the comp pick for him. Drew, double check, and everybody in the chat help me here. I was I had the understanding that because we traded for him, we don't get a comp pick, but that I could be completely wrong there. And I know we had a conversation about it when we first traded for him last year. We need to find out a definitive answer for that. When he walks in free agency this coming year, do we get a comp pick or not? If anybody knows the answer to that, let us know in the chat.
And to his contract, honestly, him staying on the roster is costing us basically nothing versus getting a second or a second first round pick. You're talking millions, right? And so the numbers wise, right now it works out for us keeping him right there.
Yeah, I was thinking the rules said you had to draft that player. You had to have drafted him, but I could be completely wrong there. It wouldn't be the first time. I promise you that. So it looks like Judy said you can as long as we let him walk, I think is what he's saying there. So I trust Drew. Drew knows the rules really, really well. So probably better than me, I'm sure. Clint, the armchair quarterback, gifting 10 Packer fan total access memberships to 10 random viewers here. Thank you so much, Clint. Appreciate you, buddy. You are the man. All right, let's move on to running back here real quick. Actually, Ed Madden says something. No, okay, we're good. No. Running backs. Last year we kept 3. All right. Josh Jacobs is the workhorse. Marshawn Lloyd is the speedy backup. The fight is for the 3rd and 4th spots between Emmanuel Wilson and Chris Brooks. Wilson showed flashes in 2024, but Brooks' pass protection and special teams value gives him an edge. So the original AI description of how they would build the roster had us keeping 4. I'm sticking to 3 because that's what we broke out of camp with last year. For me, it's the locks are Josh Jacobs, Marshawn Lloyd, and Emmanuel Wilson. You're not going to let Emmanuel Wilson go. I'm sorry. To me, it seems like if you go with 3 like we did last year, guys, Chris Brooks is probably the guy out. And I think you have a better chance of him clearing waivers, seeing that he was already on a practice squad when we signed him last year, as opposed to an Emmanuel Wilson. I mean, look at Emmanuel Wilson's PFF grade, guys.
Yeah.
82.9. He was the 12th highest graded running back in the league. That's a solid 1-2 punch right there, man.
Solid evidence that, I mean, I'm going to push back on the article a little bit. I think Emmanuel Wilson's running back too, until proven otherwise. We're all excited to see Marshawn Lloyd. I am too, but he's got to win that job, man. You know, he hasn't played football in a long time. So I think it's Emmanuel Wilson's spot to lose as the backup. And like you just said, you can look at the PFF grades last year and you can watch some tape and see he played some really quality football for us down the stretch. And I think it's his spot until we see otherwise. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think you're exactly right, Tim. Because, I mean, what with the running back setup, you got 70-30 roughly, Jacobs, and then your second stringer, and you'd be completely happy with an 82.9 as a grade for 30% of your running back, right? Kind of spread it out through there, because if not, you're not getting into a groove with Jacobs. So it's not like we can split it 50-50. You do want to get to that, you know, sort of sweet spot where you're giving him enough touches where he's seen the defense set up a play beforehand in the game, and then able to, all right, we can spring it with Wilson, giving him a different option, different speed, different look.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with Tim. I think Emmanuel Wilson's, he's been there. He's been available. The whole can't make the club in the tub thing, that shines so true to Marshawn Lloyd. And don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of his. Just a few episodes ago, I was telling you, if you want to have a good time this summer in the offseason, go pop in the USC highlights and just see what kind. You know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Michael Bennett. You guys remember Michael Bennett?
Yep.
He just seems to have that kind of like, era about him. But, I think I saw Clayton. What do you think? I think you highlighted this comment. Coach Len was saying that 4 running backs, we need that H-back role versatility. I would maybe push back just a bit and say that I love the 3-headed monster we'd have with Jacobs, Wilson, and Lloyd, and maybe have more of a tight end trying to fill that kind of hybrid H-back role. Is that something?
Savion Williams has the.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of saying. Is somebody that's a tweener.
The funny thing is, like Coach Lynn's saying, 4 running backs, and I don't disagree with it. Like, if they decide to keep Chris Brooks as a 4th running back, I'm not going to argue with that. Chris Brooks played really sound football last year, I personally think. Obviously, he graded out with a 65.6 there, not too bad, right? And Coach LaFleur just absolutely loved him in pass pro and catching the ball out of the backfield. But the thing that's funny, Jacob, is you were like, I think I'd rather keep a tight end. Coach Lynn's saying keep 4 running backs, right? You're saying keep an extra tight end, and the Packers only kept 3 running backs and 3 tight ends last year, so they went in the opposite direction. So
I think I'm more like what Tim said, is a guy like Savion who would justify then another wide receiver spot. You know what I'm saying? Shifting around that manpower with people that can actually maybe be an H-back / a weird tight end hybrid / whatever. Yeah,
and the only thing that makes me hesitant on Savion as a quote-unquote H-back is pass protection. There is an aspect of that. And listen, you can scheme around that. You could just have him be that weapon out of the backfield. But when I hear H-back, I think of, kind of that U tight end or a Kyle Juszczyk or somebody like that can block. And
no block, no rock.
Exactly right, Coach. Exactly right. So let's see here. Bates, going back to the quarterback talk, says if Willis signs a substantial deal elsewhere, the Packers don't offset this loss with equivalent or greater free agent signings. They could be in line for a compensatory pick. He goes on to say, however, the Packers' 2026 compensatory outlook is currently net negative due to their signings of players like Aaron Banks and Nate Hobbs outweighing the loss of TJ Slayton. So that pretty much confirms it there. I'm sure he gathered that information somewhere on the interwebs, and that confirms what Drew D was saying, that we are in line for a comp pick. That's good information to note for sure. So if that's the case, man, yeah, have him on staff as a backup, and then maybe by the time you get to that point, you'll pick up a compensatory pick. So there you go. That's quarterback and running back. Let's move along to the tough one here, man. Ooh, wide receiver. All right, here we go. Wide receiver. 6 is what they broke camp with last year. 6 on the active roster. This is the toughest group to predict. Christian Watson starts on the pup. He's got the ACL recovery, likely back week 12. You know how we feel about that. I think it's going to be a little bit earlier than that. Locks are Jaden Reed, Dontavion Wicks, rookies Matthew Golden and Savion Williams, and Romeo Dobbs to spot trade rumors. So if he does not get traded, I think that's the 5, right? The last spot pits McCole Hardman against Bo Melton. I'm going with Hardman in hopes Melton makes it to the practice squad. I don't think Mecole Hardman would make it to the practice squad. I think somebody would sign him off the scrap heap personally. But again, the locks are Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, Golden, Williams. Making the cut is Hardman. The surprise cut would be Melton, trying to get him on the practice squad. And then on pup starting the season will be Christian Watson. The real question becomes when Christian Watson comes back, which one of those guys do you cut? You know what I mean? So let's go around the horn with it this time. Let's start with you this time, Jacob. What do you think?
Yeah, this to me looks about as likely as all scenarios here, barring again any types of injuries or that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously we know what we have in Reed, Dobbs, and Wicks. The 2 unknowns are the Golden Williams. Obviously, we have the Hardman scenario that's added in. I just really, again, to reiterate, I feel there's something just different with him, the veteran presence, and he's not an old geezer type guy. You know, he's still, what is he, like 28, 29 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And the Super Bowl experience, the game-winning Super Bowl experience, that's something you just can't coach. I think that is going to be a reason why they would definitely take that surprise cut of Melton. And how you said, Mecole Hardman isn't like, you know, he's not Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, but he's big enough of a name that if somebody sees him out there and they've got, you know, a struggling 3rd or 4th string receiver, I think they say, well, let's bring Mecole in here for sure, especially when he's proven, again, in the offseason, when a lot of wide receivers decide to get kind of cocky and, you know, kind of boisterous and out there, he's like, I'm a team guy. Let's go to the freaking softball games. Let's do this. Let's go to the offseason stuff, the pup. Let's get to know the fan base, the community. I think that a lot of guys would be way more willing to take a flyer on him.
Yeah, it's tough, man, because you're saying bye to Bo, Malik, a couple of dogs. So it really is tough. I mean, the only thing I would say is maybe Mecole, maybe they wait till the very end. You know, they're walking it down. You got to get to the 90. You got to get it down to 70, and then you got to cut it to 53. So maybe they wait till the end, because on top of that, you're only dressing 48 a game. Yep. So you really do need to make a decision on who's going to benefit this team the most. If you're somebody that can play, not saying both sides of the ball, but, you know, being able to be functional as a punt cover guy, as a gunner, a whatever, kick coverage guy, that's what's going to get you that last spot on, you know, when we're talking cut line, that's going to make a difference.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with your point too, Clayton, that, putting Mecole Hardman on the practice squad, he's not going to last there very long, right? He'd probably get snatched up pretty quickly. And I think you could make the argument that if Bo ended up there, he could get picked up pretty quickly as well. So it's kind of tough to, you know, protect guys that have a ton of tape out there and have shown what they can do and bring to the table. We talked about the whole, you know, Bo taking some reps at corner just to kind of get his feet wet, see what it looks like. We don't know. That could still gain more momentum throughout camp, depending on how things go. And so if he can play his way onto the team by being a special teamer, being a receiver, potential backup cornerback, it's going to be really tough for them to get this receiver room down. And yeah, I am definitely going to miss my boy Malik Heath too, because at least at this stage of the game, it's just tough. You know, unless old Matty wants to break camp with 9 receivers or something this year,
yeah,
it can be really difficult.
Kick Orzer to the curb, right, Tim, and save a spot or two here or there.
Let Glover be the long snapper, right?
Ooh, now we're talking.
Greg Rice in the chat says, Bates, I would not be shocked if Bo makes it as a break in case of emergency cornerback. I think another team would take Bo if he's on the practice squad. He is too valuable on special teams. And it's funny you said that, Greg, because it's spot on with what the original search, like popping this into the search engine. And it's cool how you can kind of line up AI and tell them to think like a specific general manager. How would they see this? They had Bo Melton making the roster over Mecole Hardman.
Yeah.
And for that very reason, that he adds some value in the cornerback room potentially. I'm too drunk to taste that chicken at this point. But it is a good mental note to make. And another thing it mentioned was the special teams. Bo has been a really, really good contributor on special teams. So I wouldn't be totally against Bo making the roster over Mecole Hardman. I'm just looking at Mecole Hardman like, okay, there's you a great kick returner, right? And then someone who could take the top off the defense as well. Almost that guy to kind of mix and match into the F with Jaden Reed. And then you could slide him out to the Z and possibly put Matthew Golden at the X from time to time until Christian comes back as well. So,
and Bo knows the offense still too, right? You know, he's been here for a couple of years, so he knows choice routes, whatever Matt's asking him. That could be something. So the only thing I would say is maybe they're keeping McCall just until the end of cuts and say, hey, teach him everything you can, and then all right, you know, we'll move on from there. But
yeah, for sure, man. So we'll see how the wide receiver room shakes out. Again, the way that we had it fallen here is Jaden Reed, Romeo Dobbs, Dontavion Wicks, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, plus Miko Hardman, and then the surprise cut being Melton. And here's the thing, too. They could carry 7. They've carried 7 before, not recently, but they have carried 7 for sure. I'm going to pop this up. I'm going to drop this down for just a second. I want you guys to look at this tweet that went out. Matt Schnaubman put it out. All right, so here's the thing. There's going to be some grunting, and everybody on the podcast is going to be like, what in the world are y'all watching over here? This is Matthew Golden running routes. His feet are quick, don't get me wrong. But the thing I really want you to key in on, watch his hands on the second and third clip here. We'll start with the feet first here. Here we go. How quick, dude. I mean, that's feet, dude. Right, now look at this. Long.
Yeah.
Dang, get over his knees and chop it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This next one, watch this catch right here. Just listen to it eat his finger.
That's
how about these hands?
oh.
So anyway,
no gloves either, right?
Yeah,
no gloves
right.
on, right? Like that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm telling you, man, the closer we get, and you guys know I'm the boring fan that's always trying to curb the enthusiasm with rookies because there's always kind of this curve and it takes a little time to get them acclimated. We've seen it with Christian Watson. We've seen it with pretty much every rookie receiver that's not named Jaden Reed, although some of the fan base still wants to cut his ass. I don't understand that. But with Matthew Golden, there's something feels different this year. That coupled with Goody having a first-round grade on him, I think this dude's going to come out the gate and look a little like Greg Jennings or something, man. I really do. It just kind of feels like he's going to be one of those guys with strong hands, crisp route runner. He's way faster than Greg Jennings ever was, but it just kind of feels like the way he plays under control is the smoothness of Jennings for sure. So
yeah.
Go ahead, Jake.
No, watching that, I think we sent that in the group chat, right? And we all were just like, whoa, like that just looks like every now and then, we joke about the Underwear Olympics and not having against, actual competition, but there are times where you just watch that type of, those chops, dude, that was chop suey. You know what I mean? That was crazy. And then, like you said, the way to catch the ball in that fluid motion. And then the biggest thing to me was his ability while he's doing all that, then to turn up field. And that's where you see that end long kind of breakaway speed because we love seeing, to me, that reminds me more of like, I didn't think he had such an underneath skill set of like a Tyreek Hill where you have that quick motion, water bug type, just, and then it's the long speed. Like we're used to Christian Watson and him kind of having those long strides and all of a sudden it just is like a gazelle. He's just effortlessly in front of people. That guy is churning and burning, but still at the same time, he's making separation. So yeah. I'm very excited about that.
All right. Anything else on wide receiver, fellas? We good?
I feel like he's a really good complement to Jaden Reed. I'm looking very much forward to seeing Matt Golden and Jaden Reed on the field at the same time and watching secondaries try and figure out what the hell they're going to do with those guys. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. It's funny you said that too, because when I was trying to search for an image, I'm like, I wonder if there's a picture of Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden together at camp or something. This is the only picture of them together, and it's actually a thumbnail from one of our past videos popped up. So
we'll get that photo this year, Clayton. We'll get it.
Got that right.
What do you guys think about the guys there to make the practice squad quick? Just because we've heard a lot of flashes about dudes like Cornelius and even like Emilio Malik. I'd love to think we could stash him again. I just don't know if it's going to happen. What are your thoughts? And same with Brown out of nowhere.
Julian Hicks is another guy. Don't sleep on him either. He had a really good camp last year, and just we had a full room last year as well. So he could be a potential practice squad guy too.
And I'm kind of boring here. Like I want Bo Melton and Malik Heath on the practice squad. If you've got those guys coming out of the bullpen at your wide receiver room, boy, you're sitting pretty. I really feel good about that.
Yep.
Go ahead, Emilio. What do you think, man?
No, it's just about getting them there. That's my only holdup. This is going to be where we're keeping our eyes all off season. This is what we're going to be talking about the rest of the year until that first game. Until that 53 gets put on, we're going to be talking about the wide receivers. It's just getting them to the practice squad that's all I'm worried about. But yeah, no, we need it for Matt's offense, for Jay Love. I think that everybody we have here is good. But again, like you were saying earlier, Clay, once Christian comes back, what are we going to do? I mean, I don't even want to talk about it, honestly, right now.
Am I the only one that gets stressed out at cut day? Like, I'm just like, there's 6 players I want to keep. Like, how do we do this? So
this receiving is tough.
It is, Brett. So when Christian comes back, you're right, Emilio. It's going to be stressful for sure, man. So let's move along to tight end. All right, last year we broke camp with 3 tight ends. Okay. And here's what we wrote up. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave form a dynamic duo. The 3rd spot goes to Ben Sims over John Fitzpatrick. Thanks to Sims' special teams value, they'll keep 3. The locks are Kraft, Musgrave, and Sims. Fitzpatrick will get cut. Hopefully you can sneak him onto the practice squad. It's funny, too, because Fitzpatrick had the 2nd best PFF grade, albeit Luke Musgrave had some limited snaps. But Tucker Kraft leading the way there at 67.8. Obviously had a really good year last year, man. We talked about the statistical outlook on him coming up. Wouldn't be surprised if he stays healthy. If Tucker Kraft flirts with 800 to 900 yards this year and 10 tuds. I mean, I would not be surprised one bit. What do y'all think about the tight end room there? Just keeping 3. Jacob, you kind of talked about this earlier. Do you think you keep 4? Do you keep 3? What do you think here, man?
Nah, I mean, I really do think going in, it's going to be Tuck Norris, Luke Musgrave, and Ben Sims. I just think that they're most comfortable with them. I think they've shown, obviously, with Tucker, I've got even higher hopes than you do, Clayton. I legitimately am. I'm drafting him in every single fantasy league I can because he falls. And I'm not, I swear to God, I really am. And I'm so excited about it because I think people are sleeping. We've done multiple deep dives into what his metrics are and how they stack up to certain guys in seasons where people like Brock Bowers at like shattering rookie records, in seasons where you still have guys like Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews and those types of solidified tight ends. You still have guys like Sam Laporta and a lot of other. I still think that Tucker's going to be right there in that mix. I really do. I think he's going to be a top 5 tight end. I think he may be a top 7 at the worst, but if he stays healthy, they're just the way that he has progressed in his game to become more of an all-around guy, and the way that I think Matt LaFleur has kind of learned that, all right, I can't, and I don't want to say this in a negative way. He goes, I know what I got in Tuck. I can't quite count on Musgrave to be there in the type of way, take the type of snaps, and honestly take the type of beating physically that Tuck Norris takes and inflicts. Like he's offended if a cornerback tackles him by himself. That's the type of mentality that we want from our number 1 tight end. And I honestly think that at the end of the year, people are going to be talking about Tuck Norris and George Kittle as if they're like one and the same. That's what I think.
Yeah. To that point, Jacob, the leadership mentality, they were kind of talking about that on Move the Sticks. It was, they were just like, if you find a player that's trying to bring other players along, that's a guy you want to build around. That's a guy you want to stack, success about and around. And that's exactly what Tuck is. I think that, he wants Musgrave to succeed as much as he does. Right. So I think that having that kind of guy in the tight end room is huge. His mentality is perfect, but man, Matt LaFleur got to get him open. Right. We got to get him the ball.
Yeah. Greg Rice says, I hope Tuck gets a lot more targets this year. And Tim, Coach Lynn says in the chat, Musgrave is going to have a breakout year. I don't know if you guys caught on, but Coach Lynn has talked a lot about Musgrave this offseason. Like every time we talk tight end, he mentions Luke Musgrave. How cool would it be, Tim, if you just jump up and all of a sudden you got Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave flirting with a 70 PFF grade and Musgrave giving Kraft a run for his money at some of those tight end 1 spot?
That would make our offense that much more deadly, right? Yeah. And let's be honest, Luke Musgrave has to have that kind of year. He absolutely has to this year. And I think with Tuck Norris here, we talked about him getting more targets. True. But it's going to be tough to spread the ball around when you got to get Musgrave going too. And we already know Tucker's probably a better blocker for sure than Musgrave, probably anybody else on this team other than maybe Ben Sims. So I agree with this, this projection here. I think it's Kraft, Musgrave, and Sims. Fitzpatrick being on the bubble. Another guy, I liked the football he played for us last year. Obviously, other than missing the block on the opening kickoff against the Eagles and almost costing Keyshawn his life. But other than that, I thought he was pretty good. So there's a lot to like about the tight end room. And I think it's not hyperbolic at all for Coach Len to be high on Musgrave because, the dude's been kind of cheated by injury and hasn't really had a chance to really get it going. We saw flashes from him. We saw him show up to OTAs looking like a new man. So I don't know. I think you could be right, Coach. Musgrave could have a breakout year.
Let's get down to the hard part, boys. Offensive line. This is a tough one here, man.
Real quick before we transition, could I ask Coach to put in the chat what he would consider a breakout year statistically, or maybe just like in his role? And I'm not pushing back. I honestly think that I would love to see it. I want to see it. I just want to know, like, if Tuck is getting, like, I envision Tuck getting somewhere between like 700 and 800 yards. I really do think he's going to be that impactful. So what does that leave over while we have that crazy wide receiver group, the deep running back group? Where does Luke Musgrave, what level does he have to hit for us as Packer fans to say we need to bring him back? Or you know what I'm trying to say? Like, I want him to succeed, but realistically, what's the number with all the other talent on the field and him being such a, I don't want to say a slow start, but a second string tight end? That's tough. What's your slice of the pie is basically what I'm saying. There you go. Right. Coach is saying 30 catches, 600 yards.
To the breakout point, Jacob, did you listen to that PFF pod where they picked Tucker as a breakout guy?
Yeah, I did. I love that.
Yeah, love that. Absolutely.
Yeah, Coach Lynn says 30 catches, 600 yards, 5 tuds. If Luke Musgrave hits 600 yards receiving and Tucker Kraft is somewhere between 600 and 800 himself, Jordan Love probably having an MVP caliber season. Sign me up, Coach. That would be absolutely awesome. I was going to say 400 yards. I was going to say if Musgrave cracks 400, there you go. Yeah, if Luke gets 400 this season and a few – thought he said turds there for me. He says turds. So, yeah, that would be, to me, 400.
Sorry, did you say turds?
There, right. Yeah. So if he cracks 400 yards, I think it's a great year for Luke Musgrave. He hits 600. Tucker might be looking over his shoulder a little bit, like, hold up a minute. Second rounder might be passing the third rounder up. Coach Lynn says if he stays healthy, that into the playoffs as well. Got you. That makes sense, Coach.
Yeah, sure. That makes more sense. Yep. I agree with it too. Because in my head, I was like about 300, maybe 2 or 3 tuds, and just him just being consistent and maybe improving his blocking a little bit in weird situations and 2 tight end sets where it's like, you look at some of those right there with the pass blocking. To me is like Tim said, that's probably your glaring need right there if you had to look at a chart. But
yeah, I remember us watching we were doing the Jordan Love Chalk Talk the other day, the film breakdown. You guys, if you're new here, you can find that video. Just go cycle through the videos right here. Should be just a day or two ago. We did a Jordan Love film breakdown, and there was one play on there where Luke Musgrave had the lookout block. You could see him scream, "Look out" for Jordan Love because he just got olayed completely. So. All right, offensive line, let's get to it. Last year, they broke camp with 10. We wrote Zach Tom, right tackle, Rasheed Walker, left tackle, Arcette, with Jordan Morgan pushing Walker and serving as right guard. Inside, Aaron Banks at left guard, Elton Jenkins at center, and Jordan Morgan at right guard to start. Rookies John Williams and Anthony Belton are backups, with Jacob Monk edging out others for the final spot. So the locks for the offensive line: Zach Tom, Rasheed Walker, Jordan Morgan, Aaron Banks, Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan, and Anthony Belton, the second-round pick. And then making the cut, we got Belton listed twice. Hold up a minute. So we only got 9 on this list. I didn't realize we listed him twice.
Well, I can hear him talking about Travis Glover.
You know what that opens up? A spot for my boy.
Here's the guy.
You think I was going to miss this? You think I was going to miss this pod? We were talking O-line.
Somebody was already hitting fireworks outside. It was Emilio clapping when he realized Travis Glover's got a spot. So this is a typo, obviously. So we've just got 9, right? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if we keep 10, now keep in mind the original information that was spit out when I put this through the system was had us only keeping 9, but I felt like let's go with what they broke camp with last year at 10. So if that's the case, everybody pick your 10th. I think this would be the fun way to do this. Emilio, who's yours?
I'll take that 35-1 right there, baby.
35.1. Look at the pass blocking grade, 12.6. Tim, who would be your 10th offensive lineman here? It's between Kadeem Telford, Travis Glover, Donovan Jennings, Tyler Cooper, Brant Banks, J.J. Lipp, and Trey Hill. Anybody stick out to you, Tim?
This is probably not going to be popular, but I would go with Kadeem Telfort just because of I mean, I feel like they've got some work already invested in him. That would be my
That's
last
very
pick.
true. Very true. That's kind of how I felt about Donovan Jennings a little bit too. Now I know he didn't get. I don't even know if he played any NFL time, like live reps last year, but they kept him around. Seems like he's been here for a bit. Probably knows the system. Kind of feels like how Rasheed Walker for the line. It's like Rasheed Walker was just a body out there. Like he's never going to get to play. Then all of a sudden he steps right into the left tackle role. So I don't know. I don't know if Jacob's here or not. He probably stepped away, didn't he? But anything else you guys want to add to the? Let's get Jacob's take. There he is, grinning like a possum in a dumpster.
I did have to step away just for a second, but I'm assuming you're asking who my starting five would be, or
no, asking if we had to have a 10th offensive lineman. Here's who we're keeping. All right, Tom Walker, Morgan Banks, Jenkins, Ryan Belton, John Williams, and Jacob Monk. Who would your 10th be? And you're not allowed to select Travis Glover because Amelia already did that.
Got it.
So we're just assuming that John Williams is going to be there. That's?
I put him in 7th round pick. I kind of feel like they would keep him because I don't know if he would make it to the practice squad or not. I don't know what the value is considered across the league with him. I do feel comfortable saying Donovan Jennings, Travis Glover, Kadeem Telfort, those type of guys you could stash on the practice squad, no problem. That's the only reason I chose him because he was a draft pick. So
Okay. I mean, did you have Jacob Monk in that group? Because I think that to me.
Heard it from a fan right here.
Hey, fans, monster, sorry for calling mid-show, Jacob.
That's a good comment.
How dare you?
I love how when she pops into the chat, everybody says, "Hi, Mom." Everybody's
I really do think that Donovan Jennings is getting slept on a little bit.
That's how I feel, Jacob. It was, man. It honestly was.
That's probably who I'd go with. Otherwise, I really do like the progress I've seen out of Jacob Monk through the rumor mill kind of stuff. Kadeem Telfort's a beast of a man, so I don't know if that was in that initial group, but I don't know, dude. I want John Williams to make that group. It's just, to me, did we ever figure out a reason as to why he was missing so much time with?
I have no idea, man. None whatsoever.
Coach Williams,
great, man. There's got to be a reason.
Who does practice? Travis Glover.
Here it is.
You talk about the offensive line a little bit more. I'm going to Grok and see what the hell's going on with John Williams.
All right, in a realistic argument here, Emilio, do you actually think Travis Glover is going to make this 53-man roster? And don't give me a bunch of hubbub. Don't give me a bunch of malarkey. I don't want no kerfuffle out of you. All right.
Yeah, no, I think there's a great chance that he makes this roster. He could be used as the spot to get an extra wide receiver on. I get that, but I mean, they took him for a reason, right? It's not a 7th round pick. He was a 5th or a 6th. So I do think that I think he's got a shot unless John Williams, shows up and stuff like that. I think that Glover's got at least one more year as a chance.
Okay. Yeah. Holmes in the chat saying it was a personal matter. H.E. Soder was saying that the whole new Williams thing at minicamp leads me to think he's not making the team. I don't respect to just saying they had to settle on price. I don't know about that. I've seen stuff like where they highlight guys like I haven't seen anything much out of Brant Banks, but like, where did he come from? Do you think they like him? A guy like Tyler Cooper. That was one that I know me and Tim, we talked about him. He was one of our late round kind of steal guys. I believe that was the guard out of Minnesota, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think
he was a UDFA, right?
UDFA, sorry.
That's Big B's twin brother, right? Yeah. I remember.
That's right, yeah.
And honestly, guys like JJ Lipe or whatever, like he just seems like he's one of those guys that fits. So I'm real confident about like the first 6 or 7, completely lost about the last 3 to 4,
Yeah, and I'm not seeing any specific details whatsoever on him. It's just possible speculation. If Williams is indeed not practicing, common reasons for a rookie in this situation could include a minor injury or recovery. I think we'd roll that out because he'd be with a rehab group. Coaching strategy, the Packers may be limiting his reps to focus on technique development or to evaluate other linemen for roster spots. I don't think that's the case. Non-football factors, personal matters, academic commitments, given his aerospace engineering background.
That's the one thing. The dude's like literally a genius. And I'm wondering if what coach is saying, I know that I thought it was Deadfish or someone else had brought this up in the past, and I thought we had gotten an answer that it wasn't that because Cincinnati's graduating class had already happened, kind of thing. But depending on the fact that this dude's like,
well, if you're working on your doctorate, you know,
well,
you're
I was
not
gonna say this
graduating
guy's
with everyone else.
Yeah,
so.
he's studying like stardust and like alien poops and whatnot.
Alien poops.
Yeah.
That checks out. All right. Deadfish says you could try to put Glover on the practice squad, but the Eagles will probably grab him. He was their secret weapon against us.
See, that's what I'm saying. You don't want that. We don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen. And he's got a great shot because they always take tackles and move him inside because of the footwork. And you want that. I mean, he's got a shot. I don't know why. Like I said, I'm going to be Stan's dad walking in with the wheelbarrow if that happens, if he makes 53.
I would love to be able to hack into Emilio's Madden account and go into his franchise and see that he's got Travis Glover rated.
Sean Ryan's got to go. Travis Glover gets put in immediately.
Do you guys want me to make some ratings for us now? Because I'm willing to do this, and I swear. I'll go double or nothing. All right.
No, I don't.
I'll go double or nothing. I'll get 2 tattoos. I'll get one of Emilio in a race car bed or some sort of Emilio on the left butt cheek, and I'll get Travis Glover with a heart on the right butt cheek.
On the other side, get AFM's mom washing dishes or something.
Oh Lord,
dude.
I'm just saying. I don't think he's gonna make it, buddy.
That's gonna do it for hour 1. I don't know how we made it, but. For those of you listening on the pod, we'll see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate you.
Coach, I'm saying.
Of you listening on the pod,
welcome into hour 2. That's the most unprofessional transition we have ever had on this show, and that's saying a lot.
That's saying something.
All right, moving along. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. All right, let's start with interior defensive linemen or defensive tackles. Last year, they broke camp with 5 in Jeff Hafley's first year as the defensive coordinator. On the interior, Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt start, with Carl Brooks, Kobe Wooden, and rookie Warren Brinson rounding out the 5. So the locks are Clark, Wyatt, Brooks, Wooden. Making the cut is Brinson. Notice that Stackhouse did not make the cut. That's the one that I'm wondering, like, Brinson was a draft pick. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, but Brinson was a draft pick. Mm-hmm. So kind of feels like you try to slide Stackhouse onto the practice squad as opposed to trying to get Warren Brinson out there. Obviously, they've seen a little more in Brinson than they did Stackhouse. What do y'all think about the interior defensive line? Is there anything I'm missing there? And also don't be afraid to mention that there's some birdies out there saying that LVN might kick inside a little bit too. So is there a chance we only carry 4 because LVN is going to play a little more inside? I don't know. What do y'all think? We'll start with you this time, Tim.
I'll tell you what, I think this is the single most important position group on our defense this year. I don't care what anyone says. I know we got quote unquote concerns at corner for some reason, whatever. The defensive front has got to get it done in the trenches, man. And I think it is interesting, like you said, Clayton, that Nas Stackhouse is kind of not in the mix here. Colby Wooden is a guy that we really like, but he's been kind of up and down too. And it wouldn't completely shock me if Nas Stackhouse has a hell of a camp, sneaks in there and steals a spot, or we talk about Warren Brinson and guys stepping up. If in fact LVN can kick into the inside and maybe that room gets a little tighter, I don't know. But bottom line, this is the most important group. I think these guys have to perform this year for us to get over the hump.
Yeah, Holmes MD1 says most think Stackhouse was better coming out. I remember specifically the year before their final year, leading into that their everybody's final year in college that came out in the draft this year. Going into that offseason, Stackhouse was one of the top defensive tackles that was mentioned. Like, I remember seeing his name toward the top, and all of a sudden he's undrafted. Like, what the heck happened? Now, if I remember correctly, he battles narcolepsy, I think it is. So, like, he'll literally be on the bench and just fall asleep. There's nothing he can do about it. So maybe that's something that dropped his draft stock a little bit. But I don't know. Emilio, what do you think? We'll give Jacob a break here to say.
No, Emilio, what do you think, Emilio?
I just thought about Dwight from The Office. Narcolepsy. Yeah. when they're out having hibachi. But, yeah, it's I think that we spent some money or spent some, capital on the draft picks. They obviously, we would want them to make it. I think it's going to be tough with Nas, being he was the undrafted, right, that we grabbed Nas. So it's like Tim said, that's going to be the focus on defense that we're keeping an eye at. We have corner issues, that everybody thinks, but I think that this is going to be key. It's going to be kind of the heart of the defense. We've got our speed at backers now. We need to know what's going to happen in the front four because Hafley can't always scheme up, different, not blitzes, but you can't scheme up pressure all the time. Let's make it a little bit easier and get pressure with 4 to just make this defense flow a little bit better.
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm kind of in agreement here. I just think that if we were to go like a light grouping here, for some reason, I think that guys like either Brooks or Wooden would be on the chopping block just because we talked about how Clark played with a lot more injury than they admitted last year. Same with Devontae Wyatt. And I think we know what we have in both those guys, at least for setting a certain floor. I just feel like Brooks and Wooden have been so up and down. One week they're completely non-existent. The other week they're blocking field goal winning kicks. You know what I'm saying? So like Tim said, I want to love these guys. I want to like these guys. I want to have them on my team. If you guys get off of the pod and you're still craving a little bit of some content, some funny content, the Packers released just a short little getting to know the rookies again, and they just did I think they went live an hour before we did, and it was who's the most famous person on your phone. Warren Brinson right away with a dead face. He's like, oh, Beyonce for sure. And then like they cut perfectly because everybody's like, are you serious? And by the end of the whole thing, you can realize he goes, nah, I'm just completely kidding. But you saw your faces though. Like I had you going. I had to keep going. Like you can tell he's exactly that guy that everybody says he is about being just a great locker room guy, a funny guy. They talked about how they actually hang out much like the old NFL or the old Packers offensive line would go and hang out and kind of have that nerdy click to them with the Bakhtiari and all those guys, how they'd watch anime and do all that kind of weird stuff. It sounds like the D-line has that same type of relationship. Obviously, a lot of them are teammates from previous, collegiate careers, which is cool. In my opinion, I think a guy like Brinson Stackhouse have a better shot to make the roster over at least one person, whether that be a Carl Brooks or that's my opinion.
Got it.
Yeah, it's definitely Colby Wooden in that scenario. I think Carl Brooks has been a little bit more effective and consistent when you talk about those two. That's why I agree with you, Jacob. I think Colby Wooden might be the bubble guy when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that to me too, man. He's one that's not only is he kind of underperformed when he's been on the field, but he hasn't been able to stay too healthy as well. Right. Dead Fish says, I got to think Stackhouse has got to make the roster. We need a big guy to replace Slayton. Yeah. I think it's a fair point. I do. Now, based off the film study that we did last year, your number one tech was Kenny Clark. Okay, you're going to be in the nickel 4-2-5 the large majority of the snaps. So Kenny's going to be in the 1, Devontae Wyatt in the 3. And based off the film last year, when Kenny came off the field in the nickel, it was Carl Brooks in the 1, right? And then they would put Colby Wooden in the 3, but there were some snaps where Colby Wooden would be in the 1 and Carl Brooks would kick over to the 3. Right now, this is without TJ Slayton. Anytime TJ Slayton was in the lineup, now he played on a lot of the 4-3 snaps. Right, your base 21-12 personnel matchup there is where TJ Slayton was on the field the majority of the time. But to me, it feels like Carl Brooks and Kenny Clark are going to be kind of working the same position. And you're going to have Devontae Wyatt, and who knows, maybe Warren Brinson will work into that as well. If you guys are wondering what we're talking about with technique, when we talk about a 3 tech or a 1 tech, it's just simply relaying the information of where the defensive linemen are lining up on the field. Okay, so if you're lined up directly over any of the offensive linemen or any of the offensive players for that matter, if it's an attached Y or U tied in, it's going to be an even number. So over the center is a 0 tech. And then you work your way out over each guard. Directly in front of the guard is a 2 tech. Directly in front of the tackle is a 4. If you're lined up over a tight end, it's a 6. Now, in between are the odd numbers. So if you're in between the center and the guard, you're playing 1 tech. All right. If you're in between the guard and the tackle, you're a 3 tech. In between the tackle and the Y, also known as a tight end, you're in a 5 tech. And then if you're playing the inside shoulder of any of those positions, you just add an I to it. So where you would be a 2 tech lined up directly over the guard on the inside shoulder of the guard would be a 2I. So Kenny played a lot of 1 tech to 2I, and Devontae Wyatt played a lot of 3 tech to 4 and 5 tech. Okay, that's how they lined up last year. Thank you for pulling it up, Tim. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, just real quick, a super chat from Hardy the Prophet saying, stick to poles, Jacob. Don't come for my anime. I'll tell you what, Hardy, sticking to poles is one of the leading causes of injury amongst my people, all right? So it's not a joke. Hundreds of people are affected every year.
Hundreds. Never mind. All right, let's move it along.
You're an amazing person. You know that, don't you?
Let's finish up with the chat here real quick. The serious chats. Thank you, Hardy. Appreciate the super chat, man. Coach Lynn says, I miss Slayton already. Slayton was a damn good football player last year, man. I ain't gonna lie. He had a higher pressure percentage than Kenny Clark. He was right. I want to say he finished at 8%. Devontae Wyatt finished at 9%. Put that in perspective. And remember, Devontae Wyatt's pressure, his pass rush win rate was in the 90 percentile. Okay, so TJ Slayton was way more effective at rushing the passer than people give him credit, even though he was in on a lot of 4-3 snaps. So, yeah, I think, and he plays a run well too. Slayton, what he got, $7 million?
Yeah, we weren't going to go there.
Cincy,
I said going into the offseason, I'd be willing to give him $5 million, and I think he's worth it. But at some point, you got to get to where you're like, okay, now we got to walk away. I say that, and here before we decided to absorb the entire $17 million cap penalty from Jair, we were sitting at $40 million under the cap. It's like, I think we could have freed up $7 million somewhere to keep TJ Slayton. But I think it's more about getting these young guys in here and trying to give them an opportunity, Warren Brinson specifically. I think that's the guy that they're hoping they can kind of develop into something special. And I'm still holding out a little bit of hope for Carl Brooks. Carl Brooks took a step back last year. But, man, his rookie year, if you go watch the tape on him, his rookie year. And I remember training camp that year as well, Matt LaFleur constantly screaming, great job, Carl, great job, Carl. People were tweeting that out constantly. So, and let's see here. Ed Madden says, Stackhouse, Brinson, and Wooden fighting for 2 spots. Yeah, that's going to be a camp battle to watch there for sure. And I think you would give the edge to Brinson and Wooden over Stackhouse because Wooden has more experience, right, in Stackhouse, and you're going to try to slide Stackhouse onto the practice squad if you don't make it. Brinson, I feel like he's making the roster. Where was he drafted, guys? Was it the 5th round? Am I thinking around 5th or 6th round? Something like that.
It has to be because that was day 3. We were there. We saw that pick, right?
Yeah. Tim, do you think that that's fair to say that may be your top battle, or at least your top 3 battles that you'll be watching? Because I know you're kind of going to be our guy on the street there.
Yeah, definitely with this group for sure. And the other thing I'm going to keep an eye on too is really, we've talked a lot about Kenny Clark and some of the, I'm trying to look for the best way to say this. Maybe subpar performances on the field when it comes to, in the trenches out there as he gets older. And we talk about the intangibles, the leadership. We've got a group of young guys on that line. So I'm really going to be looking at Kenny Clark and how he kind of gets these guys together. Because obviously, he's protected. Devontae Wyatt's protected. We know who the usual suspects are going to be. But, yeah, I think when you start getting down to names like, Stackhouse and, Kobe Wooden, Warren Brinson, you're going to want to look for the competition there. And, again, this is way too early, right? We have no idea how they plan on breaking camp. And if they do, in fact, decide to kick LVN inside at all, how will that affect the whole balance of this group? Also, so a lot of things to look for.
Definitely. Left Coast Cubby in the house has finally made it to one of these live. Hey, thanks for swinging through, buddy. Appreciate you dropping by, man. Hit that like. Make sure you're subscribed. And, this is something, if you're new here, we go live daily, talking all Packers all the time. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're just fans like you talking Packers and trying to figure this crazy thing out as we get ready for the upcoming season. We also do post-game shows. We do pre-game shows. We do film breakdown, just all the nerdy stuff that nerdy football fans love. Let's move on to the edge rusher room here, guys. Edge starters, Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness lead a deep group with Kingsley Enagbare, Brenton Cox Jr., and rookies Barron Sorrell and Colin Oliver, who we might mention adds linebacker flexibility. 6 edge rushers make it. Now, they did break camp last year with 6 edge rushers, okay? The locks are Gary, Van Ness, Enagbare, and Cox. Making the cut is Sorrell and Oliver, obviously being draft picks. I think this is pretty straightforward, guys. I think that's going to be your edge room is those 5 players. Now, when you talk about Oliver being able to play stack backer, maybe that pulls one linebacker spot away from the final 53. I don't know. Probably not, seeing that we'll talk about it here in a second. But let's just dive into this real quick. In terms of PFF, Rashawn Gary, 73. Brenton Cox Jr., 67, led the team with pressure percentage. Aaron Mosby, 62.5. And then you got Kingsley Enagbare, 56.8, LVN, 52.9. Although when you break down the tape of LVN, man, it looks a lot better than that 52.9. I'm sorry. Finished with almost a 12% pressure rate there as well. You got Deslin Alexander there. I don't think he's going to be making the roster, possibly the practice squad. You got Colin Oliver and Barron Sorrell, the two rookies. If you guys are wondering, Barron Sorrell is kind of your traditional edge defender that Hafley would like to just get in the three-point stance, just like Gary and just like LVN. Colin Oliver's a little bit different. He played a lot of Sam in college, a lot of Sam backer. And also you could see them maybe putting him on the boundary side in the wheel in a base 4-3. And if you get to a point where you're facing an offense where you want to bring a 5-man front, then you can bring him up on the line of scrimmage, that type of thing, and play over top of the run with an over front. But let's go around the horn with that. We'll start with you, Emilio. What do you think about the edge room? This seems pretty straightforward here. I don't see Aaron Mosby or Darren Alexander or Deslin Alexander beating anybody out for these spots. But what do you think, man?
Right. Yeah, that's the only question. You got 150 snaps from Mosby that he played last year. Is it, he did well in coverage. I think that maybe that could be that Colin Oliver floater. He maybe replace Mosby with Colin Oliver. And then you say, all right, we have 4 years with him now. Let's move forward. And I think that's right. Barron Sorrell, he's got to make it, right? I feel like that's got to be a lock. And then you could get away. You got 4. I think you got to be at 6, and I don't really know where else you could cut unless you take Jacobs Boy off the list. But I don't see that happening.
Hey.
Maybe you cut Brenton Cox Jr. to keep Travis Glover on the roster.
That's a possibility.
It's blasphemy.
But no, I really do think that the like Tim said with the D-line, I think that everybody on the front of this defense is going to be on the eyeballs of all of us. I think that we need to know what we have up front. Rashawn's got to step up. Luke's got to step up. And then Kingsley is kind of that floater right now. It seems like he's the odd man out heading out. But I guess we'll see what Barron Sorrell can do and Colin Oliver.
Yeah, Tim,
I agree with that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Clay.
No, go ahead. You're good. You're good, man.
No, I was just going to say maybe that's the plan. Like maybe it's, Colin Oliver over Aaron Mosby, and then, eventually Barron Sorrell is going to be the guy that replaces JJ and Igbare on this roster.
Thank you.
Long term. I do think I will say this to Clayton's point about Colin Oliver being, versatile enough to also be a stack backer. I feel like that's a pretty crowded room. I'm sure we're going to get to that next. I think if Colin Oliver's making this football team, he's making it as an edge rusher. Mm-hmm. And, again, if LVM's going to kick inside in certain packages, then there's room for a Colin Oliver or a Barron Sorrell in the edge room. So I do think you got to go with 6, and I do agree 100%. I think this is the 6 as of today for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry.
No, Tim stole so much of my thunder right there. You really just made so many great points. The first of all being like, I was going to say that I think Kingsley is the guy on this list where I'm like, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. He's been a little bit hurt, not really showed up to certain situational games. And the other point I was going to make that Tim so eloquently stole was the Colin Oliver thing, is that, okay, we just assume if he's not going to be an edge, he's going to be a stack backer. Well, we got guys like Hopper and Isaiah McDuffie, that are out there. And obviously we know the other 2 studs that aren't going to be battled for their position. And if you're trying to make up a roster spot somewhere, are you willing just to throw a guy out there that isn't considered an edge? And maybe he's not a quote, a true edge, like an edge setter or somebody that's a multiple down player, like let's say a Gary or a LVN or even my boy Brenton Cox Jr., who you guys got to keep his name out your mouth, literally. But he just, I really do. Colin Oliver could be like a situational absolute pass rusher that could be really freakish at certain points. And that I'll kick it back to you guys.
Thanks, Jacob. Back to you, Fred. Steve says in the chat, Mosby and Enigbari and Alexander are out. I'm with you guys, Jacob, as you were talking about Enigbari, it does kind of feel like if you had to pick between those 5 or those 6 that we're saying we're keeping and go, all right, we're only keeping 5, I'm probably moving on from Enigbari. I really am. Brenton Cox Jr. has proven his weight on the roster now, man. He really has. Aaron Mosby, I was just sitting here thinking, Aaron Mosby on the practice squad seems pretty nice when you think about it. Run defensive grade is 67.7. They dropped him into coverage a little bit as well, playing a little drop there. Yeah. But on the Fire Zone
teamer too, Mosby.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Right. So I would feel really good about those 6 that we said, and Aaron Mosby being on the practice squad. Feel really good about that edge room. I bet Hafley would as well. Yeah. So completely agree, Steve. Understand where you're coming from there, man. All right, let's move it along now to stack backer, and we can go back up and look at these here in a second if you guys would like. But last year we broke camp with 5. All right, Quay Walker and rookie Edgerrin Cooper are every down starters. Isaiah McDuffie backs them up, while Isaiah Simmons adds versatility in sub packages. Tyron Hopper takes the 5th spot for speed and special teams. So the locks are Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, Isaiah McDuffie. Also making the cut is Simmons and Hopper. Right, there is the full list. So that means Christian Welch and Jamin Dumas Johnson would be the linebackers out. Have no problem with that. If you can somehow get Christian Welch on the practice squad this year, your linebacker room is going to be a lot better. We talked about him coming out of camp. And, I got to eat a little crow here. If you guys remember when we did our final 53, like when Final Cuts made, we did our live stream that day and kind of broke down, all right, here's all the players that got cut. I was pretty tore up over Christian Welch. I was like, man, I feel like he did everything he possibly could to make this roster. Mm-hmm. Goody was right. Look at the grade. 46 is what he finished with last year. 46. Now, you also look at Isaiah Simmons' 45.6. However, his special teams grade, if I remember correctly, I think he graded out in the 80s. So Isaiah Simmons is going to bring some special teams depth there as well. But we'll start with you this time, Jacob, since everybody stole your thunder that last time. What do you think about the linebacker room here, man? And the fact that we're keeping 5 like we did last year. What if you only had to keep, or you were only able to keep 4 and pick up a roster spot somewhere else, with Colin Oliver being kind of a hybrid type player? What do you think?
Yeah, exactly. So that would be my thought process there. It would be the Edgerrin Cooper, obviously Quay. You gotta see what you have in Hopper, and then did they give McDuffie an extension or like a slight extension? So to me, I don't feel like that one to me is a lock. It has to be, right. The biggest question mark, I guess, I haven't seen enough from would be Hopper / Isaiah Simmons, although we have seen a lot from Isaiah Simmons in New York, but it's unfair to really say that he got his true potential because, one, he's in New York in the Giants Stadium playing for a guy that wants him to absolutely never find a position he can solidify his confidence in. He spoke about how when he went to Green Bay that the first thing that really enticed him was the fact that Hafley said, hey, we're going to find you a spot. We're going to keep you there. Basically, we're going to let you get good at that, hone your craft, and then absolutely, let you loose and see what the best potential. Wasn't he an 8th round overall pick? First round?
8th first rounder. Yep.
Yeah.
So
8th overall. Yeah.
That to me, again, seems like that kind of potential, that sort of ball of clay that we know the Packers love grabbing, potential prospects that they're like, maybe if we had him in the draft and we could have maybe gotten our kind of hook sunk into him, like what kind of position, what kind of player would he have eventually become? But it is hard to see us keeping less than 5. I really do think that if I had to guess, it'd be Walker, Cooper, McDuffie, Simmons, Hopper, still having Oliver slip on, but I don't know. I think Jamin Dumas Johnson was somebody that's pretty intriguing, and I think he's a great practice squad guy. I don't know if we're going to sneak Welch on there again. He's one of those just oddballs that, I thought when you watched him, he caught my attention, and I thought like he deserved another shot, but who am I? I'm just a guy.
Go ahead, Tim. I know you're big on stack backer, man. Let's hear it.
Yeah, our Iola's own Christian Welch not making the team this year once again, unfortunately. I think this room is set. It's Walker, Coop, McDuff, Simmons, and Hopper. If you're going to put that same scenario on me and say, okay, you can only keep 4, then Isaiah Simmons has got to go because you cannot give up on Tyron Hopper. We just haven't.
Yeah,
we owe it to ourselves to see what we have in him.
3rd round pick, Tim.
Yeah. And we know Zay McDuffie's not going anywhere. That guy's got a solidified role on this team, as he should. I feel like he's earned it. He's kind of taking over that role that we saw Eric Wilson playing for us last year. So right. I kind of like that with the young talent of Cooper and Hopper. And then you've got some experience there with McDuffie, Simmons, and Quay. So I think it's a well-rounded room. I think Colin Oliver, like I said, this is the issue with them. You got a versatile player. Well, there's kind of room for him in one of these rooms, maybe the edge room, maybe the linebacker room. I think he's got a better chance making it as an edge rusher, and hopefully that's how it pans out. And then these are the 5 that we end up breaking camp with for sure.
Can I pose Tim a question, or I guess everybody a question? Because now that I'm looking at this, and I felt real confident, real comfortable with this group. If you get one injury, or if you God forbid, get 2 injuries, and let's say that one of them has to be Cooper or one of them is Quay, I feel drastically different about the success of the linebacker room. Is that a fair statement to say?
Right. If Adrian Cooper goes down, it's going to be an uphill battle. Now, the thing that gives me hope, Jacob, is, and I want to get your take on this, Emilio, Xavier McKinney and Evan Williams back there playing safety gives me a lot of hope, right? It really does, man. The level of comfort that I get knowing that Xavier McKinney is on this roster, I cannot explain. Like, it's just, I don't know. What do you think, though, Emilio? If Cooper goes down, that'd be about the most devastating thing that could happen.
Yeah, that's going to be a problem if Coop goes down. I think in that scenario, we lean heavily on like a 3 safety set or big nickel or something like that. We push 2 backers and say, okay, or, you say, all right, Colin Oliver, now it's your time to go to stack. I mean, it's not like they're not afraid of moving rookies around if they think they can do it. They did it to Bull all last year. So if
there's another stack backer option.
Yeah, exactly.
Bullard himself.
My question is like where we are with the with Eric Wilson's snap counts. So I mean, just looking at, I was kind of thinking, what if McDuffie didn't make it, but the dude had the second most snap counts. Obviously, Edrin's going to kind of take that this year. I think Isaiah is probably going to be closer to 500 snaps roughly. But how many did Eric Wilson take? When Quay went down and things like that. So I do think that we're going to need to make sure. Depth is the biggest thing. Depth is going to be key. It's going to be king this whole year. You're never going to go scot-free, but that's tough, man. I would say, Coop, Copper, Quay, and then, it's kind of a toss-up from there.
It's why it'd be nice if we could stash Christian Welch on the practice squad, but he'd probably get snatched up, right?
Yeah,
he probably wouldn't be there long.
Yeah, it's a great point, man. All right, let's move it along to the cornerback position, then we'll get to safety. All right, cornerbacks. Last year, we broke camp with 5. Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine starts outside with Nate Hobbs in the nickel. And I just want to say, when you go to your base 4-3, you got to make a decision. Does Keyshawn come off the field or does Carrington come off the field as you kick Nate Hobbs outside? Obviously, you're paying him starter money. He's going to be starting in the 4-3 base. Micah Robinson and Kalen King add depth. So the way that I looked at it, and this isn't like crazy set in stone. This isn't my 53-man roster prediction. I just looked at it and said, I think I feel best with Valentine, Nixon, and Hobbs, along with Kalen King and Micah Robinson, even though we haven't seen Micah play yet. But here's the full cornerback roster. Carrington Valentine, 65. Keyshawn Nixon, 64. Nate Hobbs, 61. Javon Bullard, 54. And then a bunch of unknowns. Kamal Haddon, Kalen King, Gregory Jr., Jonathan Baldwin, Tyron Herring, Kazir Brown, Micah Robinson, and Isaiah Dunn. Again, I went with Kalen King and Micah Robinson here. Now, we've got Javon Bullard listed at corner, but on the 53, I put him back at safety, so just keep that in mind. The 5 I would keep here, though, is Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, Kalen King, and Micah Robinson is what I went with. I don't care who goes first, whatever you guys want to do. Emilio, why don't you go first this time, man? I think you're up.
I would almost say go with 4. Sorry, Micah. See if we can get you on the practice squad, but let's go 4 corners and save a spot because we are tight everywhere else. I think we need to make up a spot somewhere. I think it's got to be the cornerback room.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. And you feel pretty good. Whether it's 4 or 5, I feel good with these names right here. I agree with Clayton. I like CV. I like Keyshawn and Nate Hobbs. Those are my 3. If we're gonna make a cut and keep 4, save a roster spot, I put Micah Robinson on the practice squad, and then he's probably good, right? He'll probably stay there. I don't see anyone grabbing him.
No, yeah.
So I think that's best case scenario. Plus, like we talk about Bullard, right? He's going to be in the safety room, but in a pinch, he can be a slot corner for you. So I feel really good about that either way.
Yeah, I see us more sticking with 5, if not maybe adding a 6th, just because they are so. Oh, Emilio, they are so.
Emilio said what?
They have. I mean, in the eyes of a lot of people, they've got somebody, a dog in Carrington, Keyshawn, Nate Hobbs. I don't count Bullard on this list, but I think it would be more of like you get a Kalen King. And I would say more of maybe like a Kamal Haddon or a Gregory Jr., guys that have been they're not complete rookies. They're not complete novices. Gregory Jr.'s apparently shown out, or a guy like Jonathan Baldwin. I'd like Micah Robinson, but as a true, if I was going to say freshman, but as a true rookie, what up, Murph? How you doing? As a true rookie, I do think that we can sneak a guy like him that was a later round draft pick on the practice squad, no problem. I mean, I've heard just a lot of good things. You guys know I've been a Kalen King fan just because he's the bargain bin type player. Kamal Haddon, wasn't he a Tennessee guy? And I thought I really enjoyed the way he played. And then Gregory Jr., like I said, I believe he played in Jacksonville. He has actual NFL experience. Jonathan Baldwin's another one that actually, like, I've been seeing a lot of accolades for. So I would try to maybe in a struggling cornerback room. I guess, this is all going to depend on injury. Again, a big caveat. I don't know. I think I'd stick with 5, and I would probably do what Clayton did. Maybe just instead of Robinson, do Kamal Haddon. That's kind of what I'd maybe think. Or a surprise like Junior Baldwin.
And Kamal Haddon was actually drafted in the 6th round by the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, only to be cut later. If you guys are wondering who Micah Robinson is, we did a write-up here on Patreon. We'll go back to the 53 here in just a second. Just to give you a quick refresher, we took him in the 7th round, pick 237, right? He was a top 30 visit. 3-star recruit from Westlake High School in Atlanta, Georgia in the 2021 class, right? PFF grades in college, 56, 75, 73, 69, and then an 84. Obviously, I think he transferred to Tulane his senior year or his final year in college.
Yep.
Graded out as the 23rd highest graded corner in all of college football. Okay. His 40-yard dash, a 4.38 40 with a 2.55 20-yard split. All those scoring in the 9s across the board there. He had a vertical jump of 35 inches. His broad jump showed a little bit more explosion. That's what got him up into the good category there with explosion grade. So that's Micah Robinson. Just like I said, a quick little rundown. Dane Brugler said Robinson's speed and ball skills give him a chance to stick as a depth corner, but his smaller frame and inconsistent technique will be tested by NFL receivers. His ability to step up from Furman to Tulane is encouraging, and he could carve out a role in sub packages or special teams if he tightens his coverage discipline. All right. So that's, like I said, if you guys want to go check that out, you can find that in our Patreon group as well. That's why I went with Micah Robinson. The fact that he excelled, and people go, well, Tulane's kind of a smaller school, right? That's where, who was it that got drafted the year before?
The quarterback.
It was our boy.
The one that got us canceled?
Yeah.
Did what now? No. It wasn't him. I'm thinking of wasn't there a cornerback? I could be wrong here. There's a corner. Was it? Wasn't Quinyon? Was Quinyon Mitchell? Did he go to Tulane?
No, that was Toledo.
Okay.
Yeah,
got it mixed up. Got it. So, all right. So there you go. Again, Micah Robinson. I'm not going to be surprised if he makes a roster, me personally. I could see there being a case there. I hope you diabolical people hit that like button, says Chuck Jagger. If y'all would hit the like button for us, it helps more than you know. Helps boost the algorithm. Feel free to sub to the channel. Share this thing with your friends. If you ain't got friends, it sucks that we're your friends. I'm just going to tell you.
No, we're your friends. We love you.
Well, that got creepy. All right.
Yeah.
Safeties. 5 is what I got making the roster. Xavier McKinney's an all-pro lock. Evan Williams edges out Javon Bullard for the starting spot, with Bullard as a versatile third safety / nickel. Just say that about Bullard for a second, man. The value that he adds to this roster, knowing that if for some reason Valentine or Nixon go down, you kick Hobbs outside, you bring Bullard in at the slot. He got significant snaps there last year. So the locks are McKinney, Williams, and Bullard, right? And we got Catano, Ladapo, and Zane Anderson make it for special teams. I love that safety room, guys. And again, Bullard, it's really you're carrying 5, but it's really like you're carrying 4 here, Tim, because you've got Bullard who can play the nickel as well, man. So you could cheat this 53 man by keeping 4 safeties, right? Yep. With Bullard being another corner, and then you can shave somebody out of the cornerback room there as well. What do you think about the safety room? Look at these grades, Tim. 84, 80, wow. 72, 72, and 62, man. We're stacked at the safety position.
I am so freaking excited about this group. I don't know about you guys. We're all old enough to remember when we had no safeties in Green Bay whatsoever, and now we've got a whole room full of talented guys. I mean, everybody on this list. Omar Brown's another guy I can't wait to see out during camp too as well. Another young player with a lot of potential. And then, of course, our boy KT Oladapo. This could be a year that he gets get some opportunities, maybe even more snaps than he had last year. And of course, Zane Anderson proven to be a real person, proven to be more than a special teamer, right? So there's a lot to love. And of course, I mean, what else can we say about Xavier McKinney, right? The captain of that back end of that defense there. Great example for these young players to come up behind and learn from. And of course, our guy from Oregon, Evan Williams, man, one of our draft favorites last year. I can't wait to see what he does here in year 2 for sure.
Just a lot of green on that chart, Jacob. Omar Brown, obviously, he's probably not going to make the 53. Get him on to practice one more time from Nebraska, right? Or Wisconsin?
Yep.
Nebraska.
Nebraska. Yep.
It's there's a lot of snaps there, that kind of need to be updated. I think Evan's going to get a lot of shot. I think that they're going to kind of rotate there, and you get Bull in and out. I still think they're going to kind of move Bull up to safety back and forth. I don't think that they're going to lock him into slot or anything like that. But we are very lucky, like Tim said, blessed with where our safeties are now. I don't even remember how bad we were. I mean, we were fighting for Rudy Ford, right, Clay?
Yeah. Hey, I was a hill I was willing to die on.
I like that. Appreciate that.
That is insane though when you look at that too, because one, when you look at are 3 of those safeties rookies, right? Katan, Evan, and Omar. They're all rookies, right?
Last year they were.
And Bull.
Right,
Bull
correct.
Too.
And Bull, and obviously Bull's not on this list. And I would have loved, you guys know, I was the president of the Javon Buller fan club. I still am. I think he's going to be an absolute dog. We just got to figure out where we can plug and play him. But imagine that. Look at, like, when you talk about absolutely revitalizing and revamping a position group within a series, 1 or 2 years. What do? They just go out and get maybe arguably one of the best safeties in the league through free agency, which usually we don't do. Zane Anderson, who all of a sudden we all know is a person, shoots out of nowhere, and he's got some significant snaps, and he's actually like, oh, he just grades out as an 80, no big deal. Katan Oladapo was a rookie at a 72.9, Evan Williams at a 72.3, and then even Omar Brown. You would think if we had none of that success from any of the other rookies, you'd look at Omar Brown at a 62 and say, that's a really good year for him. You know what I mean? As a rookie. We talk about all the time. A guy, if in certain positional groups, especially on defense, if you can come in with significant snaps and score in the 60s, like that's, I mean, obviously his are, not Omar's, but I'm talking more of like Katan and Evan. But I really have to say, guys, this is why I was like, could we shave one anywhere else to make room in that cornerback group? Because I'm just a little unsure of them. But I look at that safety room and I'm like, nah, we got to keep all these. Got to keep all these guys, man.
And again, as Chris says here, I love Bullard, but he can't play outside corner even in an emergency. I completely agree, Chris. I see a lot of people saying Bullard can play corner. I don't see that.
Yeah.
Slot, he's kind of fit to play the slot. He plays the run aggressively. I don't think he's technically sound enough to play outside. That could change. Who knows?
I put him at Will Backer before I put him at
exactly right. Yeah,
corner.
Like we talked about, if you get a little bit, if you get a little bit banged up in the linebacker room, go to a 3 safety look. I feel totally fine with Bullard playing linebacker down there. Now, is it going to hurt the run fit? It is going to hurt the run fit a little bit. Bullard's not going to play the run as good as Quay Walker or Edgerrin Cooper, but in a pinch, I think he could do it. I'll tell you somebody else too, man. Zane Anderson was bringing the pop last year before he got hurt.
Yep.
Like, that's another guy that I wouldn't mind to just throw in the box and say, hey, man, go hunt the running back, X has got your back there. So I agree, though, Chris, and I'm not trying to dog Bullard either. I think Bullard played good football as a slot corner. I thought he played bad at safety, and I don't see any scenario where he can play outside. I feel like he's a slot corner, and it doesn't mean he's a great one, but he definitely played better at slot than he did at safety for sure. So
and to Jacob's point, Goody did it in 1 year. He filled our room in 1 year. In 1 year. The only guy on this list that was already there was, I believe, Zane Anderson was already.
Our other guy was Miss Simone Biles, right?
So So in one off season, Goody was able to get rid of Jonathan Owens, get rid of Darnell Savage, Rudy Ford gone, and we have Xavier McKinney, KT Oladapo, Evan Williams, and Omar Brown brought into the fold. That's 1 year flip of the entire room.
We got the
drafting Javon Bullard. Yep, exactly.
We got the draft board from 2024 right here, right? And here was the safeties on the vertical board, right? It's the horizontal board, but vertically just the safeties. Tyler Nubin, with a 39.2 grade, then Javon Bullard with the 63.8, then Katano Ladapo with a 95.3. Guys, we literally drafted the second and third best safety according to our draft board in the same draft. And in that same offseason, he went and signed the best safety in free agency in Xavier McKinney.
Mhm.
That's how he put that together. And then all of a sudden, Zane Anderson gets a little bit of playing time last year, 122 snaps, and he comes out and plays lights out, 80.8 PFF grade. And that wasn't like I don't think he was. I think they were a little lenient with him. No, you watch the tape. My man was breaking on the ball. I was like, this guy, not only is he a real person, he's pretty damn good at football. Like, it blew me away. I couldn't believe it, man.
Yep.
Hey fam, I'd start Zane at safety next to X.
He's being serious. This is one of Athens' hot takes.
For me, Evan Williams, the 533 snaps at a 72.3 carries a little more weight than the 80.8 at only 122 snaps. But I'm with you. He would be my third choice for sure until he proves otherwise, right? Until he proves he can't be that guy, because he's shown that he can right now.
And we got to remember, Zane is still our special teams ace. He's still a dog in the special teams unit. Yeah. So important role on this team.
We're going to wrap it up with specialists. And I just love this picture. If you'll remember that was his first game kicking, right? Yep. Brandon McManus, the game winner. Just absolutely awesome. So specialists, there's only 3. Brandon McManus is going to be your kicker. Daniel Whelan's your punter. Matt Orzik, as it sits right now, is your long snapper. No battles here. But I just love that picture right there of him doing the Lambeau leap after he hit the game winner. Just absolutely. Look at Christian Watson, too, right there in the crowd, man. Just what a cool
He looks like a fan almost.
He does, don't he?
Like he was there watching.
Yeah. So, let's just take a second, go around the horn with the specialists. Obviously, Daniel Whelan finished with a 75.4. Brandon McManus, 81.6. There's no PFF grades for the long snappers, obviously, but Brandon McManus on this roster, got a 3-year deal, right, guys? They signed him to a 3-year extension. So we're comfortable at kicker, finally, right?
And Alex Hale progressing nicely as well for a young guy.
You never know. We may look up in 2 years, and when Brandon McManus is ready to walk, Alex Hale steps right in. That could be the case, Tim. That's a great point. But.
And of course, the Irishman,
Danny Whelan.
We gotta tip our caps to him. Another guy we're absolutely grateful for having. Right? Yeah. Arguably the best, probably top 5 punter in the NFL. Right?
Oh yeah. No doubt.
I'd call him the best because I'm a homer, but he's top 5 for sure.
I know we see a lot of the jokes and everything all aside. Like, are we happy with the long snapper, or like honestly, I haven't in my estimation watching it last year, I didn't see too many snaps where I was just, why did he do, you know what I mean? Like, where in years before you'd be like, oh my good Lord, that was incredible that he was able to get that snap down, or that he picked it up off the ground. Matt Orzic, the backbone of this team. I mean, honestly, is that a position where you think that they would try to reshuffle the cards in any sort of way? A guy like Rich Bisaccia with those 2 staples, and then just try to all of a sudden throw in a new link?
I would say this. I think Rich has a list of long snappers that he probably likes that are possibly going to be out there. And I think that Matt might not make the 53 so that somebody else can, and we'll figure it out after the fact and get him on there, especially if we're trying to carry over contracts. I do think that, Matt could take that hit. All right, Matt, we'll pick you up once everybody clears waivers and everything like that. Because you got to think about it. If, 32 teams have their guy, fine. We have Matt once we get out of the, out of the 53 cut. But I do think that if we need to make a spot, he is the first one gone.
That's true. Your boy Travis Glover can always be the backup plan, right?
Yeah, exactly. See, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, honestly, you guys joke about it. I know it sounds crazy, but what is to stop? There are rules now against being able to come over the top of the long snapper's head. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not trying to. I really do think that there could be at least an offensive lineman who cross trains just like for 14 minutes after practice. Have you guys ever tried to snap long snap?
I was a long snapper.
It's not. So was I.
I snapped my whole career when I wasn't punting. Yeah.
It's not easy, but it's not that hard. Like, you just literally, it's not that hard nowadays where they're not jumping over your back. I mean, quite literally, is it crazy to think that a guy like Tucker or just anybody else that has athletic talent could just simply be used for 4 or 5 snaps a game and just snap the ball between his legs? I mean, I don't want to argue about.
I think you have to think about how good our punter is, and it takes some of the pressure off.
Isn't he also like
we saw the
7
way
foot?
Whelan's been able to handle the occasional errant snap, and
Right, because he's a giant, isn't he, Tim?
Yeah, he's a big dude. So it's like I think maybe that's why there's not that sense of urgency, I guess. And plus, long snapper is one of those things too, where it's like you'll take decent or okay if it's consistent, rather than constantly putting a new long snapper in trying to find somebody. You'll take okay or average rather than really good but inconsistent, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, yeah, because Matt Orsic is always my tight end, the first guy that gets cut from the 53 on Madden, right? So
not this year, Emilio. Have you heard the news?
Oh, they got a long snapper position?
We got breaking news?
Yes, breaking news. Long snapper position, long snapper rating this year on both college and Madden.
Whoa, that's
no
big.
Cutting him now. They said that little Emilio dude keeps cheating the system and cutting Orsic.
He's got to go. So ideally, yeah, you would want a tight end. The issue, yeah, you could get Elton to snap it on field goals and extra points, no problem. The issue is chasing him down on punt. If you already don't have your punter running down the field to go get somebody, you can't be down 2 if you have a O lineman back there trying to huck it down the field.
Yeah. I can't believe I walked out of the room, went across the house, came back, and y'all are still talking long snapper. This is unbelievable. So we're going to wrap it up right now. I want to give a shout out to my Autism Connection for sending the card. Absolutely awesome. Thank y'all for taking the time to sign it. A lot of great messages in here. And the shirt is, I ain't gonna lie, man, it's pretty clean. Look at this thing right here.
Like
Kidding
that.
me? Really, really appreciate y'all sending this. This was absolutely awesome. It was too kind of you to put that together. And it's been fun partnering. I'd like to do this every year. Let's do it once a year. And we'll do a giveaway every year in honor of my Autism Connection. Again, we're going to be doing this giveaway this week. It'll either be Saturday or Sunday. We'll get the list compiled together. Miss Mary's going to help me with that. And we're going to be giving away an autographed Dorsey Levens jersey. So there may still be time if you want to go donate. Givebutter.com/KRPSJ5. If Mary's already started compiling the list, she's going to be mad at me for going, oh, gosh, I got to start over now if somebody else donates. But, so there you go. We just showed it, the card there, Miss Mary. But I really, really appreciate y'all so much. So let's get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow for PTA Live, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So we'll break down some more Packers talk. If you guys have an idea, just let us know. Hit us up in the Patreon group. That's the best place for that. So unbelievable. All right. That's it, guys. We'll see y'all later. He just calls Pirates.
Yeah.
Later, Pirates. Stay out of trouble. I like it, man. Arr. All right. This show sucks. We'll see y'all later. Everybody have a great night.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.